Hey tea heads, this is Don from Mayleaf. Okay, here's the situation. I'm going to do something that I haven't done before, which is that I'm going to be unveiling this new PuErh tea without tasting the actual production run. I'm actually going to be tasting the sample, and I'll tell you the reason why. I'm speaking to you from early morning on Black Friday. This tea release has been in the UK for well over 2 weeks, but due to the deficiencies of a certain postal carrier, UPS, we have been waiting and waiting and waiting and scratching away, just going, come on, please, please, please get here before the Black Friday sales. And we're at Black Friday. It's still not here. However, I did receive notification yesterday that it has finally cleared customs and is going to be delivered to us either today or on Monday. Whatever happens, I need to release this tea as quickly as possible. And so that's why I'm going to be shooting this video and prepping it so that when it arrives, we can put it out. But rest assured, everybody, that before I push go, I will, of course, taste the production run to make sure that it is the same as this sample. And normally I would be a bit more worried because we taste the matcha, which is loose tea, and then it's compressed into a cake, and that process of compressing into a cake always changes things slightly in terms of taste. In this case, as you can see here, we've got a bamboo tea. I'm going to be talking about bamboo tea in this video so you can learn about this type of tea. But because of the fact that it's going to be, I'm tasting basically the finished product rather than the matcha, I am a little bit more comfortable that it's going to be the same. But as I said, I will not push go on the sale of this tea unless it tastes exactly the same or very, very similar. Maybe check out the tasting notes on the website to see how it differs from any tasting notes that I tell you today. So here, in maybe a less glamorous form, is the hip Cuddler. And you can see it will have the production run, a full label on it. And I'm making a mess here. Let me put this tray on here so that I can catch all these. So this is the hip Cuddler, as you can see, artwork by Celine. I'll put a big picture of the artwork right in front of my face right now so you can see it in all its glory. So the original run will have a much bigger label with all of the information that you need. So this is a bamboo roasted HR. Now let's talk about bamboo roasted teas. Bamboo roasted teas is a tradition. It's not a novelty. It's something that has been around for a while. It's a traditional way of producing tea by the Dai minorities and probably other minorities in Yunnan. And so what they do is they take the leaves, usually raw pu'er, but also ripe pu'er in this case, and then they'll steam them, they'll stuff them into bamboos, supposedly specially aromatic bamboos, although I don't know about that, but bamboo sections, and then they will put them in a fire pit and they will roast them, and they will do that several times. They'll then pack it again and put more in, and they'll roast it, and it's an arduous and skilled process. Then they'll peel off sort of the really charred layers, and they'll sort of maybe sand down some of the excess char, so you're not going to see too much char. You can see a little bit on here. I'm not sure how the production runs are going to look. They could look around the same, maybe a bit darker, maybe a bit lighter, and that's it. That's bamboo roasted tea. So the good things about bamboo tea: the bamboo definitely imparts a certain fragrance to the tea, but it's not as extreme as you may think. It's more of a subtle fruitiness, a subtle woodsy fruitiness that comes through. You don't pick up too much of the roast, although there is a certain warmth that develops, I think, also when you have these bamboo roasted teas. So there is a character change that happens. I also find that the tea tends to texturally be a little bit thicker. Now, I haven't done specific ABs with exactly the same tea, bamboo roasted and not, but just my general impression, slightly thicker texture, has this sort of bamboo fruity wood fragrance, subtle but there, and maybe have a little bit more of a warmth to it that comes from the roast. The bad things about bamboo roasted tea, because this is the first time we've released a bamboo roasted tea in over 20 years of me tea sourcing, and I'll tell you the reason why. Generally, the tea used to make bamboo tea is lower quality tea. It's sort of like, oh, there's some decent tea or whatever, some not so great tea, but let's just, make some bamboo roasted tea out of it. It's sort of always been considered, from my point of view, to be on the lower quality end of the spectrum. Lower quality leaves, cheaper leaves, not produced from the best tea trees, not the best pickings, etc., etc., etc. Maybe not the best ferment when it comes down to ripe pu'er. And so generally, the experience that I have is that they have a roughness about them that I don't like. The second problem with bamboo teas is they are a nightmare to get into. Breaking them open, it's just a big stress. So how have we dealt with those two issues in this release? And we've also got a raw pu'er release, which isn't going to be coming out for a while. But, a raw pu'er release, roasted bamboo, we're waiting for that one. So what we did, first of all, in terms of the form factor, we kept it the same because I do like the look of the bamboo, but we've pre-cut out a groove. So you don't have to take the tools out. You can just open it up and start brewing. So that's the first thing. We've made sure that it's easy, because otherwise, believe me, if you've ever had a bamboo tea, you'll know they are hard, because it's a relatively small diameter. It's very solid, and you're having to hack into it and break it. It's very, very difficult. So we've cut out a groove, at least I hope we have. When the production run arrives, hopefully that will be as we requested. And again, go to the website and double check the pictures. I'll put all the pictures there as soon as it comes in, so that you can see how we've made it work for you. The second thing, and most important, is the quality of the leaves. So what we did is we spoke to the friends in Yunnan who could get these bamboo roasted teas, and we said, right, go out, find us samples of ripes and raws that we are specifically tasting for bamboo roasting. And what we looked for when we were tasting the loose teas were teas that were themselves absolutely teas that we would press into cakes and release as a May leaf pu'er tea. So that was first and foremost. It had to meet the mark of, it would be absolutely 100% the quality that we would require for one of our pu'er cake releases. But also I was looking for teas that I thought would benefit from or would match with the addition of that slight warmth, slight roast, very slight, and this aromatic, fruity wood quality that the bamboo gives. And we found this tea. So we're going to quickly scope this tea. The season on this is spring 2010. The cultivar is the Daejong variety. This is a Mung Hai ripe pu'er tea from 2010. Picking and processing is going to be budding up to 3 leaves. Elevation, I think, is around 1,300 meters. But the most important thing here was, when we tasted this tea, we loved it, to the point where we were really sort of reticent about whether or not to use it for the bamboo tea, because we wanted to press it into a cake. We were like, well, surely we should make this into a cake. This is perfect cake material. It's such a great tea. I forgot to say, 80-year-old tea bushes or tea trees. So old tea trees, especially for ripe tea. So old tea trees, 2010. So 13 years of age on it. This is like prime time material for a ripe pu'er cake. And there was always this, what's the bamboo going to do to it? Is it going to be okay? So we asked the supplier to send the teas that we chose. A bunch of them. We chose, I would say, about 3 raws and 3 ripes to go through a sample. So do a sample. So we had 3 ripes that we had selected. This was actually our favorite, and the one we were thinking of reserving for a ripe pu'er cake. But it turned out, when we got this sample back, and as you can see, we've drunk a fair amount of it. When we got this sample back, we were just like, this is just the winner. It's just a winning tea. And the bamboo definitely added something that I think just gives it even more. And we're going to talk about the tasting notes as we get into it. You can see that the flecks of little bamboo is in there, but not much, and that's fine. You can drink that. And the general look of the of the leaf, you can see when you peel off the bamboo, it's got that little layer of bamboo. Again, I wouldn't worry about brewing that, but if you wanted, you could scrape it off. Up to you. All right, I'm going to put that to the side. I'm going to take my Zerni Gaiwan. First of all, I'm going to clean this up. And then I'm going to take my Zerni Gaiwan, heat it up, and we're going to have our brew of Hip Cuddler. I was waiting and waiting and waiting and hoping that I could do the tasting with the actual production run. But yes, the postage and customs delights that we all know and we're very familiar with in the tea world. All of you tea heads, you know the amount of times you've been waiting for that tea parcel. Well, it works both ways. When we're getting them, it is major stress and major expense. And, you know, we have been literally on the phone to UPS every day and holding for hours on end to try to push this through. I had given up all hope that it would arrive, but as I said yesterday, we got the notification that it had finally, the tracking has moved and it is now cleared customs. We spoke to the supervisor. She confirmed it has cleared customs. It just needs picking up and bringing to our warehouse. I was hoping, I'm still kind of a little bit hoping that it'll come today and we can release for Black Friday. But if not, as soon as it comes in, we will be releasing this video and getting that product on sale after I check it, of course. All right, we've got Crab here who's going to be enjoying the tea with me. And let's get the Hip Cuddler into this Gaiwan and give it a smell. Cheers, everybody. Hip Cuddler, 2010, 80-year-old tea trees from Munghai. Now, I have tasted this tea, as you can see, many times, so I've got lots of flavor notes that are already in my head, but I'm going to try to be as blank as possible. Here we go. Very difficult because I know this tea so well. Vanilla fudge. Cherry liqueur. So like a very rich, nearly moving into the cherry cough sweet territory. Deep cherry, but slightly alcoholic note. Milk chocolate. Did I say fudge? I did say fudge. Fudge, caramel, milk chocolate, cherries. But then we've got other things. We've got resins, like resin lacquered wood, so really lightly lacquered wood. And I would say there is also a brightness that is like sandalwood. So it's very aromatic wood, sandalwood note. So sandalwood, lightly lacquered woods, and that's that fruity quality and slightly fragrant wood note. A touch of attic as well. So this was stored from 2010 to 2023 in Munghai, and then in around, I think it was around June or July this year, it was steamed and stuffed and went through this bamboo roasting phase, which is, you know, again, an arduous process, you know, breaking down the bamboo, stuffing the leaves, steaming the leaves, stuffing them, roasting them, stuffing them more, roasting, multiple roasts. It is, you know, a process that I would like to actually film and, you know, get up close and personal to give you more information about. But it's a traditional, specifically Dai minority, although probably other minorities also use this method. But as I said, usually for lower quality teas in my experience, but not in this case. Definitely not in this case. All right, wet leaf. Ah, it's just so creamy and sweet, but with this addition of a fruity cherry note to it. So there are lots and lots of cherries here. There's also a yeasty quality to it that moving into the festive period, I'm already sort of priming myself for panettone, and it reminds me of that soft, yeasty smell of breaking into a panettone. So imagine like a caramel and cherry panettone, which probably there is no picture, so I'll break it up as in caramel, cherry, and panettone. But yeah, lots of that. The alcoholic note is still there, but it's moved into the nutty territory. So I'm getting frangelico, which is hazelnut liqueur. I'm also getting a rich, creamy almond milk or soya milk. I'll say almond milk, but very rich, creamy almond milk note to it. The leaves, you can see the picking is fine, and it's definitely been fermented well. There's also a note of pottery, like clay, in there. So that attic-y, antique note has moved a little bit brighter, more earthy. I've got clay, and also maybe it's because I'm moving into the festive period, but I'm smelling chestnut puree. Definitely. So there's that chestnuts, almonds, frangelico, hazelnuts, almonds, chestnuts, very nutty, but sweet and candied. Then you've got the attic-y, storagey, going into clay note, and then the cherry, panettone, caramel. I'm still picking up milk chocolate, brewing up at 95. Yeah, let's let it get up to boiling point, and we will get into the tasting of this tea. And hopefully we'll be able to release it sometime before the festive period, because I would really love for you all to get the opportunity to taste this over Christmas if possible. Although this is a tea for any time, but those festive, nutty, chestnut, panettone, cherry notes, absolute win, would be an absolute win at Christmas. And also the digestive quality of ripe pu'erhs would help with all of that festive overindulging, perhaps. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself. Color of this liquor, not too dark, but still got some depth to it. I would say it's got more of a sort of medium to dark chestnut brown quality. The light coming through it is going to be different from how you see it out there. You're going to see it a little bit darker, but it's definitely got a lightness to it. You can maybe see it when we put it in this cup. Okay, here we go. Hip Cuddler 2010 Lao Shu Cha bamboo roasted. Texture, medium thick, oily, creamy, soft, delight. This tea, every time I've been drinking it, and I have been drinking it a lot, it's just been such a delightful session. It's like everything that you want out of a ripe pu'erh. I'm moving ahead too quickly, but I know this tea so well, so I'll just say it. It's if you enjoy those fudgy, creamy, dulce de leche, caramel, milk chocolate style ripe pu'erh teas, and I don't know who wouldn't. You know, versus, I mean, the contrast to that would be versus to the more mineral, edgy, concrete, lacquered wood, shoe polish, herbal note pu'erhs. If you love, I love both, but if you love the creamy pu'erhs, I can't think of anything that you would want that would give you more than what this gives, because it also gives you that addition of a fruitiness. and that fruitiness is like a candied fruitiness. But let's talk about the texture again. First infusion, medium thick, oily, soft, viscous, lubricating, very, very oily in the mouth. It's going to get thicker with subsequent infusions. That was the first infusion. So it's probably going to be classed as thick, oily, soft in the tasting notes. Taste. Caramel liqueur. So if you've taken, Bailey's, again, festive, right? These cream liqueurs that you tend to only break out, or I tend to only see being broken out at Christmas time. That is also mixing with that nut milk, almond milk, cashew milk, perhaps, but thick, rich. So we're getting that caramel, we're getting the milkiness, we're getting that slightly alcoholic note. Also, that clay note that I was talking about before has moved into another classic for ripe pu'erh for me, which is this toffee paper, the craft paper that you wrap around fudge and you wrap around toffees and those kinds of sweets. Chestnut puree is still in there, like marron glacé. In fact, there's a lot of glacé here. Glacé meaning sort of candied or sugared. So marron glacé. There's a very distinct, and something that I've noticed every time I drink this tea, and it's the joy that keeps this tea running for hours after you drunk it. So I'm talking about the finish. It is just straight up hoshigaki sweetness, and what I mean by that is this dried persimmon that is very loved in Japan. So it's expensive and it is delicious, and I would love to pair it with this tea, but it's like dried and concentrated down so that it has like a sort of a frosting around it. So it's not glacé, it's not like sugared, but it tastes sugared. So like just imagine like candied persimmon. Oh, milk chocolate's still there. Sandalwood is still there. Let's brew it up again. Aftertaste is insanely good. A little bit of nutmeg is happening as well. The yeastiness of that panettone mixed with the nutmeg. A little bit of like almond essence, natural almond essence is also there. So sweeter, brighter. The cherry notes are still coming through. You know, we said cherry liqueur. I guess I've already put a picture of dried cherries up. So dried cherries. So how does this differ from the loose tea? The loose tea had, I would say, all of the notes that I have said, maybe minus a little bit of that extra cherry note and that nutty note. So I would say that the bamboo, my best sort of guess here, is that the bamboo has sort of contributed those more nutty but still creamy nutty warmth. That's why I'm saying it's not like you're going to get a lot of roast, but like that nuttiness is, you know, a movement towards that more roasty quality. So the almonds and the hazelnuts, and has also contributed a little extra fruit, a little like dialed up. It already had a bit of cherry to it, but it dialed up the cherry note a little bit. And certainly this dried persimmon finish in my mouth, it's like the winning end to an absolutely winning tea. This I love that aftertaste. And it's also vaporous, and it's also very cooling. In terms of physicality, it's very soft, it's oily, it's luxurious. not much dryness to speak of, much more just lubricating and rich. Again, like I can imagine this really working well like during Christmas. It's like got that very luxurious sort of sweet, cooling, comforting, but still indulgent quality to it, with all of those caramels and fudges and caramel and Bailey's liqueur, etc., etc., etc. Smell of the empty cup. What a tea. Smell of the empty smell of the empty cup is a little bit of that campfire. Now that's not because of the bamboo roast. That's a note that is in a lot of ripe pu'erh teas. It's like you've taken a campfire, but it's not smoky, no smoke. It's just the smell of like slightly charred wood, but again, a very common note in a lot of ripe pu'erhs. That's not about the bamboo. And fudge, and like you're eating fudge next to it, not a campfire that's going, but like a campfire maybe the next morning, right? The campfire's out and you're just picking up a little smell of that charred wood with fudge. I mean, fudge and charred wood is to me, that sounds like a great combination. Right, one more cup from me, then we're gonna go away and I'll drink through another 5 or 6 infusions. You can get loads and loads of infusions out of this tea. It's one of those never-ending teas. But I'll drink another 5 or 6 infusions and come back with body sensation. Now it is thick. Now it is thick and oily. Just straight up luxury. And that's what happens when you use good leaf, because if you've tried bamboo teas before and you've thought that they were a bit, first of all, it was a struggle to get into them. Maybe you almost injured yourself getting in. And then when you finally did all that work, it was like rough and astringent and not good. I hear you, I feel you. This is a totally different tea. All right, let me roll through 5 or 6 infusions and I'll come back with my final thoughts. This is the 10th infusion. And normally when I do these tastings, I sort of stop after 6 or 7, but I've been really fascinated by how this tea has been shifting. And so I wanted to drink through it a bit more. And it's funny because, you know, I've tasted this tea lots, but, you know, in a less mindful way, let's say, I've just been sort of drinking it and enjoying it. Whereas now going through a session like this has been really actually instructive for me, because this tea does shift. You can see the liquor becomes lighter and the taste changes. You're still getting those sweet caramel notes, you're still getting all of that, but it moves a little bit more herbaceous. And I mean, like, I'm picking up, again, Christmassy herbs like sage. So savory and herbaceous notes are showing themselves. A little bit of celery tops, a little bit of fennel tops. So it's still sweetness in terms of that anisey quality, but then a certain savory note coming through. I'm still picking up the caramels and the fudges, but it's the balance shifts. And I think it's really lovely. It's a great journey. Similarly, the body sensation shifts. So again, going through this session, I know, like, the first, after we stopped filming, I was having a couple more infusions. I was like, okay, this feels very settling, very digestive, very like easy drinking, calm, nice, settled, ripe pu'erh. But then 6th infusion happened and there was a shift. And that shift is very palpable. It feels like it shifted from that calm, settled, digestive state to a little bit of a drunken, quite a drunken, like woozy high. And my face feels like tingly, almost like it's like, you know, when you've gone to the dentist and you've had like work done and you've had that injection and you get that sort of tingly feeling of, you know, the anesthetic kind of in your face. It sort of reminds me of I don't know, it's got like a little bit of like if I've had a shot of whiskey on a cold day, and it just feels like all of the worries disappears, everything is sort of whatever, you know, and just feels very nice and woozy. Again, a lovely festive, you know, woozy drink as an alternative to alcohol. So again, that surprised me. I didn't really notice that about the tea when I was drinking it before, because I was just sort of drinking and working and spread out over a day. But when you sit and you have a full session, it's definitely got this really interesting body sensation. It's hard for me to define, but it's, I would say, woozy. I would say slightly like tingly, but in a sort of numb, tingly, sort of warm, fuzzy sort of way, and just a feel good, whatever will be kind of quality to it. Like it a lot. Very, very nice. Aftertaste, a touch of candied orange. So that persimmon has moved to candied orange. Again, very festive, but like that candied orange note coming through. A really amazing tea that starts off in this just give me a hug quality. You know, the hip cuddler, right? This idea of this, again, I'll put the artwork in front of me so you can see, but the idea of, you know, this animal. So what we did is we took the animal concept that we always have with our pu'ers, but we shifted it up with this bamboo tea, and we put humans involved. So humans and animals. So, and the animal being sort of an object. So you've got that cuddle quality at the beginning, but then it moves, as it moves to have a bit more of a herbaceous quality in the taste, it becomes a more drunk, definitely affects you tea, that I would say I would associate it most with having some whiskey, or some like you know, one of those settled but woozy alcohols. Not like a tequila or a vodka, but like that kind of whiskey brandy quality, but with this interesting tingly, lovely tingly fuzzy sensation in my head. The hip cuddler. Let's hope that it finally arrives and I can release it so that you can enjoy it for Christmas time. I'm gonna be straight after filming just back to UPS to try to find out where my parcel is. If it doesn't come out for this Black Friday weekend, then I don't know what I'm going to do. I might have to extend the sale or something, because I really would love for you guys to be able to get this on free shipping. So we'll see what we can do. When you see this video, go check the website, go check the tasting notes, make sure that they're pretty much the same. I'm pretty sure they will be. And look at what offers are on for this tea. But if you're watching outside the festive season, this tea is an absolute winner no matter what time of year. And I hope that you enjoy our first offering of bamboo roasted pu'erh. That's it, tea heads. Check out our other videos, taste our teas wherever you are in the world by browsing mayleaf.com, and come visit us if you're ever in London. Other than that, I'm Don from Mayleaf. Thank you for being part of the revelation of true tea. Stay away from those tea bags. Keep drinking the good stuff and spread the word, because nobody deserves bad tea. Bye.